Hey there, Indie Choice readers. Welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. And today, I've had the pleasure of speaking to one of the most creative people I have ever met. No offense to anybody else who's been on the show, okay? But I have had the pleasure of speaking to Betharat Debebe. And his name may sound funny, but his story is legit. He is the creator of the indie comic HAWI, as well as his other hero, Jimber. Now, Howie is his Kickstarter that he's running now, and I must tell you that the concept this guy has come up with is fantastic. Now, I'm not going to give away everything right now, but I do want you guys to watch the interview, but just to kind of give you a little sneak peek, it is based on Ethiopian mythology. Now, when it comes down to mythology, we see a lot of mythology. We have Greek mythology, we have Roman mythology, we have Egyptian mythology, but never in my life have I heard about a story that was based on Ethiopian mythology. And that's what drew me to this guy's project. So guys, sit back and relax. You have literally about an hour of just going back and forth with Betharat and his ideas and what he came up with. I know that seems a little daunting, but guys, just check it out. It is a fantastic project, and I seriously cannot wait to get my copy in the mail. So get some popcorn, get a drink, sit back and relax, and watch this interview between me and Betharat Debebe on HAWI. Enjoy. Betharat, thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your Good Friday to come out and speak to me.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor.
Not a problem. So what we kind of do, a little formula around here is basically we just have you introduce yourself. A lot of people, what I found with people doing comics is that they don't really know the creator per se. Like me, my avatar on my Twitter is a freaking
Yeah.
Bitmoji. So a lot of people don't know what that is. So
Yeah.
it's really, what I found is that it's really on a personal level that that creators actually see the faces or allow their audience to see their faces to show, this is me. I'm not just some random bot trying to draw a comic. So go ahead, tell the people about yourself. Go on, the mic is yours.
All right. Thank you very much. So first off, again, thank you so much for having me on the show, Will. I appreciate it. What you're doing is awesome. I hope you continue highlighting indie creators because they can never get enough highlights. So
I
keep
agree.
on going. So my name, you said it correctly at the beginning, is Besarad Debebe. I am the founder of ETAN Comics. It's actually an Amharic word, and in Amharic it is ETAN Comics, but it's tough for people to pronounce. So a lot of people say ETAN Comics, ETAN Comics.
Okay.
And I founded ETAN Comics actually about 2 years ago now, and we are a team of African creators, and we are trying to create new comics, new storylines that are inspired by African history, African mythology. I'm Ethiopian or Ethiopian American. I was born in Ethiopia and I moved here when I was around 14. And I've been living here ever since then. And, because of my background, I really wanted to see an Ethiopian superhero storyline. So, just like you, I'm also a writer and a creator. So we, as a team, created the first what became the first Ethiopian superhero comic book, Jember,
Okay.
And it's actually got an amazing response, which I didn't expect, and I was so happy by that. And so now we are kind of building the momentum, and we're seeing that there's so much out there that people want to see, and so we're trying to build a universe one character at a time and kind of grow and expose more of the African content that's lacking in mainstream media.
I agree with that. And when I came across your Kickstarter, I was literally blown away by your character you have on the front. And I showed my wife. I was like, "Look at this," and
Yeah.
like I would back that just by the artwork. And I'm gonna show the audience a little later on when we get into your work. But I do agree with you that there's not a lot of now. There's I don't know how to put this without being crude. So forgive me if I'm crude, okay?
Go for it, please. If we can't have an honest and open conversation, there's no point. Go for it.
I agree. I like that. Thank you. So
Yeah.
I agree that, there's not a lot of African representation in comics. African
Right.
being people who are literally from the continent of Africa. There is a lot of African American representation in comic books, and some of my characters are African American in my books. But what I really like what you did here is that you took a mythology that isn't well known to Western civilization, and you crafted that into a concept to write your stories. And just like all mythology, you got Greek mythology, you have Nordic mythology, you have all
There
this
you go.
mythology that goes around. And I never really thought about what kind of mythology is going on in Africa. And Africa as a continent has hundreds of countries over there. And when people hear Africa, they go, oh, well, there's Egyptian mythology. And I'm like, man, I've heard about Egyptian mythology. I'm like, I'm so sick of Egyptian mythology stuff. So this is something that's fresh. This is something that's new. And I like what you did with that. So could you kind of go into it? I'm going to share my screen really quick so the audience can see what you got going on here, because it is fantastic.
Yeah, no, definitely. The Kickstarter, in fact, actually, the one you're talking, there you go, there you have it. So the one you're talking about is called, it's our second storyline, which is HAWI. It's an issue 1, and HAWI is the second storyline. As I said, Jember was the first one, and HAWI became the first female Ethiopian storyline that we introduced through our brand. And as you said, essentially, there's so much Greek mythology, Roman mythology based stories out there. And what we're trying to do is, I grew up with some of these very interesting historical contents and mythologies that people here have no idea about. And I'm just talking as an Ethiopian, just from us, there's so much content there. And when I grew up in Ethiopia, there wasn't really a big comic book culture. We definitely were introduced to the movies, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. We all knew all of those and we followed them, but we never got to see any stories that incorporated like deep Ethiopian history and mythology, or any East African mythologies. And so, fast forward whatever many years later, and I'll talk more about that and how I got into this. But now there's actually some folks who are trying to do the same thing, and I would be what is it? If I don't mention them, I would be amiss, or I forget the right.
Are you talking about Unique Studios?
Yes.
Yes.
You know Unique. Oh,
I know Unique.
Goodness.
I follow them. I read their first comic book. What was the name of the first? It starts with an E.
EXO.
EXO, yes. EXO. Yeah. I read EXO, and I thought it was pretty cool. It takes place in Nigeria, right?
Correct. It takes place in
Neo...
Nigeria. And he also has another one named Malaika, Queen Warrior, which is also based on a Nigerian historical context. It's actually based on a real queen at the time. I think it was Queen Amina from like 16th century or so. But man, what he did, like there's a quote I know, there's a saying, if whatever I did to get here, it is because I stood on the giant of shoulders. I'm telling you, Roy Okupe and his Unique Studios have just changed the game as far, in my opinion, for African content and what they represent as far as African history, African mythology, and how that could be inspiring, how that could be entertaining. And so I'm here X amount of years later after him, kind of trying to pass the torch on even more and kind of show and expose the diverse African history that's around, right? As you said, Africa is not just one country, although a lot of people have that misconception, right? And I love Black Panther. Don't get me wrong, Black Panther was amazing. But again, it also helped that idea a little bit, in that people thought, an African superhero it represents the entirety of Africans, right? And that there isn't nuances and the complexities of what it means to be an Ethiopian versus a Nigerian versus a South African, that's not there, right? And so our job is, or my job, what I consider is to just show that and show how entertaining that can be. Like it is so entertaining because there's so much there. And so that's what it was, and that's how it originated. So HAWI issue 1 that you have there, what we got together and we kind of thought about some of the background story of Yodit Gudit. Yodit Gudit is a 10th century Ethiopian queen. She has a lot of mystery behind her because of the way she took down this 700-year-old empire at the time. She was so swift, so strategic that people didn't know her motives. They couldn't tell what her motives were, but she took down a 700-year-old empire and ruled for 40 years in Ethiopia, in northern Ethiopia. And after she died, a lot of the history was passed down orally. It wasn't even documented. So there was so much like speculation as to what she did and how she approached things. And I was always in awe. I was always inspired. I mean, kind of intrigued by that. So I wanted to take that story, kind of put a fantasy twist on it, and bring it to life. And that's what we are doing with this one.
It looks fantastic. Now I think you directed me towards a sample of your work. This is what I read right here. And even though most of your story is based on Ethiopian mythology, you still have your main character as an American, right?
Right. So she's Ethiopian American, right?
Okay.
So you're right. She's American, but what happens in the storyline, in which we'll find out more, is that she has, like, Mnet, the main character, was raised in America, though she was born in Ethiopia, and so she's trying to kind of go back and reconnect with her roots. And her mom was very protective, like a lot of African moms and a lot of African American moms that I know are. She's telling her, you're not ready for this. We can't go right now. And so she's trying to go back and do things. And so it is inspired by that. And the reason it's inspired by that is because I wanted to show, like, when I came to the United States, I met different types of people, right? I met people who were, as I said, who were born here. Who were born in Ethiopia but moved here at a very young age, or who moved from Ethiopia just like me when they were a teenager, or they just came right like a year ago or something. And their experiences was very diverse, and also at the same time it had so much influences from both cultures, and the way they dealt with both cultures was very interesting to me. So I wanted to use that experience, the same experience that I have as well, to kind of put a flavor in that story and kind of take it. I feel like I haven't seen that kind of story in comics or in movies, and so I wanted to experiment with that idea and really dive deep into it.
I like what you did here because, I mean, I'm Black, obviously. Like, I took 2 ancestry tests, so I'm positive. And I found out that I'm actually from, my family originated, I think, from Ghana, to be honest. And
nice.
A lot of people who are now on this whole trendy thing of, I need to figure out where I'm from, and they're giving these ancestry tests and stuff like that, and they're figuring out where they're from. A lot of people aren't really wanting to go literally to Africa and check out, what African tribe you're a part of, what country you're from, go look at the lifestyle, stuff like that.
Right.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of African Americans who are born in the United States, they aren't really attached to any culture that originated from Africa. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, if you were to meet, like, if I were to ask you right now, or ask not you personally, but someone else, I would say, well, what makes you Black in America? And they were going to so many things about slavery, oppression, yada, yada, yada. But if you turn around and you ask a Latina lady or a male, what makes you Mexican? They go into, quinceañeras, the food, the culture, Dia de los Muertos, all that stuff, because that is something that originated in their country that they still hold a custom today in the United States. And the same goes for Chinese people. The same goes for Japanese people. There are a lot of people here who were born here in the United States who, of course, are all from everywhere. And family traditions hold up cultures and customs that were originated in their home country from centuries ago. And I think something like what you're doing here, how you have a girl who was in Ethiopia, she wasn't necessarily born in the United States, as you said, she came here at a young age. She doesn't really know much about her, but she knows who she is ethnically. You can ask her, hey, you're Ethiopian. And someone asks you, what are you? I'm Ethiopian. They know that for sure. And America is a melting pot. A lot of Black people don't know what part of Africa they're from. Like you said, Africa is more than just a continent. It is a collection of hundreds of countries all on one island. Well, I wouldn't say island, continent, big continent. I call it a really big island. So to have someone like this who is Ethiopian, who wants to touch base with her roots and go to Ethiopia and see what's over there and how the lifestyle differs between here in America and overseas, is something that I hope would inspire more African Americans to dig deeper into their past and not just regard being an American who's also African and not use that in a regard as, my ancestors were slaves. No, your ancestry goes back a lot more further than just slaves. It happened. Don't get me wrong. It was a horrible atrocity. It happened, but let's look beyond that and let's dial back a bit and figure out where you came from. I like the concept that you're doing right here with this, and it's great. And I think I like the idea that you did use a female character, not pandering to the females who are reading your book, but I find that female characters are, I want to say, more driven as opposed to like the male counterparts. And what makes you choose a female? Because judging by what you did with her, it kind of sounds like she's she's kind of based off of you and your experiences. Am I right?
So there are elements that are based off of my experience, as far as I told you, being an Ethiopian American, and even the Ethiopian history and all that. Those elements are from, yes, definitely has my experience. For me to have a female character, or the reason I chose a female character is they're just as important as male characters, right? And there are many male character stories, and not that I'm not trying to, I don't even want to like compare and contrast and whatnot, but I think that it's important for people, like for kids who are growing up, to see characters like themselves, like see like female characters. And my wife as well, when I first pitched this idea to her, she was like, yeah, that would be fantastic, as long as you are not just trying to do this male copy version, or it has to be authentic. You can't just take a Superman and make it a woman and say, oh, look, I created this character. And so she was very critical. She's just like, if that's what you're trying to do, don't bother. So you have to give.
Let me go ahead real quick. I was actually, and it's I don't know if this is a coincidence or anything, but all of the past interviewers that I've had with ETAN Comics and Gilbert, who's the head of Headshot Horror, they are saying exactly the same thing you're saying. And I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but I guess that kind of tells me that you're really like gun-ho about your writing and your development, because I know a lot of comic book artists out there are trying to pander. And I know I'm probably repeating myself to the audience, but I'm just trying to make a point. Pandering doesn't do much for anybody when it comes to making a great story. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It doesn't even, the thing is, it doesn't even last. Like, what stories will, transition the challenge of time. Yes. When you pander and you're just trying to translate something, that even if you get hype on it, it'll blow away in like a year. Yeah. That's it. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
What you did here was something that's original, and you didn't take like somebody, like you say, you didn't take like a character like Superman and just make him a woman and give her powers, or give her powers based on Ethiopian mythology. You literally went, and I can see just based off of her facial expressions here and here that she is a well thought out and fleshed out character.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's the point, right? I mean, you're a writer. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't like, for me, if you're not writing like if you're not writing from like a very authentic space, then what's the point? Like there isn't a point to write a character or write a story from a bit if it's not from an authentic place. And I made sure, one thing I really wanted to make sure was that my wife and any other kind of female readers, they were like, they understood, and that this reflected their experience as well. So before this all was done, I made sure I passed it by them, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what do you think? Is this falling for every stereotype that you can think of, or is this okay? And they gave me genuine feedback, right? And I had to go back and review and rewrite, and I think that's very important. It's very important to take the authentic experiences of the characters that you are trying to create before you say, okay, I'm done, here, publish.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what a lot of stuff that's happening with the mainstream comic books like DC and Marvel. I don't really know what's going on with that, but I know that something is going around Twitter called Comic Gates, where there's a lot of artists out there who are refusing to pander to these minority groups, and then there's the other side of people who are choosing to do that, and it's kind of leaked into the mainstream comics. And I personally, and I've said this over and over again, that you want to tell a story that you want to tell. You don't want to tell the story that you think that other people may want to hear. Like taking Batman and for some reason making him black, it's like,
yeah,
I don't know how, like,
wait, but why, right?
yeah, why? I mean, you can create another whole universe where members of the Justice League is black if you want to go that. Like that would be fine, but to make Bruce Wayne black, I'm like, I don't know how that fits with me. And that's me coming from an African American male. That's
Right.
I wouldn't want that, to be honest. I probably wouldn't even read that. But going back to your comics though, I was a little confused. I'm not gonna lie. I do like your artwork right here.
So I should also take a time out right there and say artwork is done by this amazing Nigerian artist called Stanley Obinde. Stanley's amazing. He's an award-winning artist. He's actually based in Lagos, and and the coloring as well is done by another Nigerian artist, Toyin, and he actually likes going by Morbi. But they are the ones that are, I mean, I write, and I also help in designing the character, because of the, as I told you, because of the Ethiopian background that I have. I give him references, and we work together in designing the character. But the art that you see in front of you, I can't go by without giving them a shout out. Stanley Obinde, look him up. Toyin as well, please look them up. You can also find more of their information on that Kickstarter page as well.
I mean, just looking at the artwork and the details in her suit with the woven,
Yeah.
that is just amazing. And like I do, when I do my comics, I do all the drawing and all the art and coloring, stuff like that. I do have an inker.
Oh man, respect to you.
It's a lot of work, and
it is. It really is. I get blown away by artists who also write, and it's just, how do you guys do it? Like, I'm already killing myself just writing and managing everything.
Well, I mean, I wrote 4 books. And when I did that, people were like, wow, you wrote 4 books? And I'm like, it wasn't really that hard. I mean, once you have an idea and you flesh out plots and twists and outline everything, it's not that bad. So I have experience in writing. I have experience in making stuff solid. And I tell like other writers too, whether you're writing a book or a comic book, like if you write a page a day, just a page a day, in a year you would have 365 pages, which is for most people, a full-length book. You know,
Mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm.
doesn't take that much and to go out and write something. Because once you get started, it just starts flowing. It starts coming out, and before you know it, you've written 4 or 5 pages when all you needed to write was 1 page. So writing is, if you have a good idea and you have it fleshed out in your head, once you start writing it, you start getting more details, and then you begin to say, oh no, what if the character did this? Oh no, what if this happened that spawned this event, and then this kind of explains why this happened. Those things
Yeah.
just comes all together.
I think
Go ahead.
the only thing I would add to that is the thing you skip is the discipline, right? The
Yes,
discipline to write every day.
every day.
Oh man, that's where everyone falls off, right?
Yeah, everyone
Like if
falls off
you
of that.
want it bad, enough, you would do it. But if
Uh-huh.
not, then it's gonna be tough.
And we're
It's
all
gonna be
guilty
tough.
of it because, I mean, we burn out. Like, I was in
Yeah.
Chicago for 2 weeks for work, and I bought my computer, I bought my tablet. I was like, I'm gonna do some work while I'm in Chicago to get this done. And I was literally in Chicago. I was supposed to start writing a new book, and it did not have. I think I might have wrote like a page or two in the
Yeah.
week that I was there. But I mean, I was in Chicago, I'd never been. I was there for work, so I was working, and I was on a weekend, going out and seeing all the sites and stuff like that. And I didn't really have time to write. But you're right, like a lot of that is discipline, and I know a lot of people work during the day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and you come
Yeah.
home and you're just, oh, I'm exhausted.
I know.
I don't want to do
My
anything.
life.
And I get that too. I try to come home every day and put in like just maybe 2 hours of just something to do. And I get it 3 out of 5 times. I get it. The other 2 times I'm just like, I probably should just relax this week and just kind of chill out. But when it comes to coloring, like I learned how to color on my own. Like I didn't have anybody.
Wow.
I got on YouTube, I figured it out and just kind of went. And it's kind of a bittersweet scenario because, like I said, my ink artist, he lives in the Philippines, and he waits for pages to be inked. And I guess the dude has patience because I'm actually drawing a page right now. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's not, it just literally started. I just started drawing another page of my comic book. But my head is everywhere. I'm like, I got to draw 40 more pages, but then I have like 15 pages that need to be colored, and then I have a whole nother section that needs to be written. So my head is literally all over the place. It's kind of like, well, what do you do first? It's hard to manage when you're doing that. And at the same time, my brain is always coming up with new concepts and ideas, new characters, and I got to write those down. And then those characters seem excited to flesh out. So I flesh them out, but I'm like, wait, I can't do the story because I got a story that I'm working on right now. And I'm just like, oh, I need a freaking team.
I know, man. It's a storm. It is a storm. I tell you, yours is even way more than mine because you're doing writing, art, and coloring, right? Like that's so much. I focus on writing, and obviously I communicate often enough with my artists, but they do that thing. They do their thing, and I'm very thankful for that because they're really professional artists, and they just kind of come together and work on the art and the colors, and then they say, okay, what do you think here? Let's talk about it. So that's really the part that I have to handle as far as the art side of things. And my responsibility from this side is to write and make sure everything else, marketing, the different hats of running a business, all of that goes well. That's my responsibility. And even with that, I'm like buried, overwhelmed. I'm just so amazed that you do all of that and then some. That's crazy.
Thank you. So I like my ink artist. What I've learned is that the artwork, like this right here, all of the concepts and stuff for this character. What I've learned is that the artwork is only as good as the ink artist who does it. And I can tell you right now that I can't ink worth a damn. I've tried. It doesn't work. It looks horrible. Like it to the point to where my current work that I'm working on now, the first 6 pages were inked by me. And then I found my ink artist in the Philippines, and he took the next consecutive pages and just did it up. And I'm like, wow. I'm gonna have to get these 6 pages.
We need to redo the pages. Oh, yeah.
And I finally was able to get it over to him and say, hey man, look, we're done with part 1, but I do need you to re-ink pages 1 through 6, please, because I don't know if I can, I won't feel right. And I have an OCD problem that everything needs to look the same. Like everything needs to be consistent for the readers and stuff like that. Even when I'm reading mainstream comics and I find like a little inconsistency, like that cup wasn't there, it's over there.
Yeah.
I get so like, oh, I hope I didn't do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I like the artwork, and this whole scene right here with her displaying her abilities kind of gives me a question, like as to what her powers. Could you kind of elaborate, like what Ethiopian mythology is she based on of, and what is her abilities in this story?
So with that, I'll try to do that without giving too much away.
Please do,
That's
because
gonna
I'm
be
really
tough.
excited on reading this.
That's gonna be tough. So as I told you, like the specific story for HAWI is inspired by that Queen Yodit Gudit's story and
Yep.
her kind of background. And I haven't introduced other mythologies on this because I just want to focus on that specific one and kind of really take people through the different emotions and stories of what Yodit went through and how it came to be.
Okay.
So one of the things I'll give you, I think is okay to mention, and I hope that I'm not telling everything. But anyway, one of the things that always intrigued me about Yodit Gudit, the queen that I talked about earlier, is that every time she like won a battle or every time she conquered a place, she used to burn everything. Okay. Mm-hmm. That was like her mark, and to the point where people in the northern Ethiopia gave her a nickname called, in Amharic the word is Esato, 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 and it means fire. And there are rock-hewn churches in Ethiopia to this day that show the burn marks from her destruction, right? So people actually go to visit like these very famous rock-hewn churches from X century in northern Ethiopia, and they are shown these burn marks. And so that's it. That's all I'm telling you. Okay. You know what? So I use that. I essentially use that and say, okay, she liked fire. All right. So if Yodit was like that, then how can I use that story? All right. Okay. And so I did that. And then so the story follows Mnet and kind of as I said at the beginning of the book, that a mysterious stranger kidnaps her mother. And so this stranger is very strongly linked with that past. And so she gets to not only discover new abilities, but also learn a lot about this former queen. So that's where I will leave it. I'm sorry if I haven't given enough. But
no, it's all good. I don't want to be. I don't want to be spoiled. What I found interesting is that right here she's wielding. I want to say, based off of what you said, she's wielding blue fire. Okay.
Yes.
And then flame. when you scroll up to her main photo, you see these little yellow highlights on her skin. I was kind of like wondering, like, is that like a different form that she takes on later on in the story, or
yeah, great question.
You don't have to say yes or no. I know you don't want to give away anything, but
yes, it's actually very interesting. I'm very happy you picked that up. But yes, so the blue flame is her, I would say, real power, and then you will learn about what it means to have those yellow marks and how that comes to be. So
kind of like a Dragon Ball Z, where they're like, "This is my final form," and they like, just things like that. Because I'm a big fan, and I know it's been overused where you have like a hero or a villain, and they seem to be down, and then out of nowhere they get this new form, and I don't think it's like overused. I think like, what are they going to look like next with this? And I actually, for my current comic book, I actually came up with a new form for one of my characters, and I'm excited to draw that out and kind of make that look cool, because everyone likes a new form. I mean, Tony Stark has like a gajillion suits.
I know, right?
Every suit.
Spider-Man has a gajillion suits.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's pretty cool. When I was looking through your pledges and stuff like that, I saw that you had an English version of HAWI. Did I say that right? HAWI.
HAWI.
HAWI. You had an English version of HAWI, and then you had I don't know how to pronounce it.
Amharic.
Yep. Why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to split it up into two different languages?
So Amharic is the national language of Ethiopia, and I have a lot of audiences. I mean, if you think about it, I can't create an Ethiopian superhero story and not have Ethiopian audiences be able to read, or not that they can't read English, obviously they can, but there's also more flavor that you can add by using the language Amharic and the national language of Ethiopia to entertain Ethiopian audiences. Okay. So that's really why in the first book, Jember, we did the same thing. We publish in English and we publish in Amharic. So for anyone who wants to also learn Amharic, it's a great way to kind of compare the English and the Amharic and kind of catch the words. And another thing I do, just like how I told you, like I want to make sure everything is authentic. I always write two different scripts, right? So I don't just go to the English script and then say, okay, let me translate this to Amharic, or I don't go to the Amharic one and say, let me just translate this directly, because there are just so much slangs and so much that you can use even in the vocabulary of each language that can spice up the story. Like in English, if I say, catch me outside, how about that? Like, I can't translate that. I can't translate that to Amharic. Like, no one would accept that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I want to use that, I need to write that in the story. So I write a completely new script for English, and then I new script for Amharic. The art is the same and the sequence is the same, but I just make sure I use like the right vocabs and the right swags, just so that everyone remembers and enjoys the story.
That way it's more culturally accurate when for your readers who are possibly in Ethiopia or immigrants from Ethiopia living in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. So this is HAWI. HAWI? Did I say that right?
Yep, HAWI.
A little about Jember, because it kind of reminds me of Static. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah,
I see that electric power is here, and yes. And I was like, oh, purple lightning.
So that works for you. It's purple.
I always like different colors of lightning. I don't know what it is, but just having like basic blue lightning. But if you find one lightning, oh, what is that? So about trying to artists here.
Yeah, I don't know if that page, the Kickstarter page, actually has those book covers. But yeah, sure. Let me tell you about that. So Jember is our first storyline. It is the way I came up with Jember. I essentially said, if there was a superhero living in Addis Ababa, which is the capital city, Ethiopia, and where most people, Addis Ababa is like the New York City of America, right? Everybody goes and do their thing. Like that's where you try to make it. That's where most people from everywhere are. And, that's the capital. So I essentially said, wow, if there was a superhero in Addis Ababa, how would that story even go? Like, and I'm about like Peter Parker in New York City. Okay, what would it be? How would regular life change? And that's how that story really came up with this character named Emmanuel, and he is this ambitious kind of graduate student, or just a college graduate, because he's already graduated, but then he's going to a job where he's trying to find a job. And in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, there's a lot of people in that kind of situation where they're just finding a job, but it's very tough to find a job because a lot of them are kids. There's just too many people, and it's really tough to find a job. And it's something that everybody can relate to, even here in Europe, anywhere across the world. You know what it feels like. Go from, okay, I've done high school, now I can go support my family. You know what it is. That's kind of a little desperate, a little frustrated, and going. So I wanted to take that experience, merge that with the experience of the relatives I have that express their frustration with that stuff, and also spice it up with just the day-to-day, right? Day-to-day life in Addis Ababa. And then also some sprinkle of history and mythology, as I told you, and see where that story goes. See, we follow Emmanuel and what happens as he is going through these moments. He finds an ancient relic. He finds something that kind of changed life in these new abilities. And his abilities have to do, not to spoil it, but I mean, you'll find out when you read the first 2 years, but it have to do with sun, and the electricity comes because he's able to convert the energy of the sun into electricity.
And do a finding there for readers.
Yeah, there you go. And so, the story so far, a lot of people have enjoyed it. And it was my first story. I'm sure when you first listen, you get hit with huge imposter syndrome, which I've had. And so it was such a big relief and a big thing for people to embrace it so well. And I was just blown away, to be honest with you. When people said, "Oh my God, this is amazing! We need more," and so that's number two. We published both, and one in the first year that I founded ETAN Comics, and now we went to HAWI issue 1, and my hope is to continue to publish Jembird number 3 sometime that kind of keep it going. HAWI, then Jembird, and then maybe one more character slowly introduce and build the shared universe.
Now, this is what I like about characters who I won't say aren't so because I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with different. What I like here is that you make them in a way that doesn't force diversity. I mean, you in a sense with everything as Ethiopian superheroes, it's true, and I like how you kind of make that into more of a compelling narrative. Or I don't know, I don't know anything about any type of mythology, Egyptian mythology that's over on the continent of Africa. So Ethiopian, I was like, where is that mythology over there? It's interesting. I don't know that.
And even the Egyptian mythology, is actually I don't know what the right political term is, but it is very, very, very biased and very limited.
Well, I know Egyptians were aliens. That's why.
Yeah. You know Black Sands Entertainment?
No, never heard of them.
Okay. Check out some of their stuff, because they are also working on Egyptian content that we would typically see in media or what you see now. And even as far as representation of Egyptian characters, there's significant bias in that, and I think there's so much more to explore in that. But for me and for us, as I told you, we're much more interested in exploring the abundant history that's in Ethiopia and anywhere else. So that's what it is.
Man, when those pyramids were actually built, then I'll be able to mention it.
Yes.
I'm them pyramids. I'm like,
there is a very similar. What is that? So in Ethiopia, rock-hewn churches that I told you, there's this one church that's Lalibela, okay, and it is a huge cross symbol, and it is made rock. Okay, it's one rock. What that means is, if we were to do it today, we have to carve the rock. Imagine you're just in front of you is open ground. Imagine people digging down, carving out the huge rock that they're standing on to make a 3 or 4 story church. Okay? The amount of effort that it takes to do that by hand or by 10th century or whatever is crazy. So,
I watch Ancient Aliens.
There you go. There's a lot of speculate to this day, how did these people do this? They, all these alien speculations they are there in Ethiopia too. They're there in Somalia too, because there's so many of these kind of architectures that are mesmerizing that you don't believe they were done way back in the days.
I have that meme on my phone when someone asks a question stupid, why is such and such doing? I would post go crazy. I'm I would just use that for everything, but it's true. A lot of the stuff that is over on the continent of Africa, because it's the cradle of civilization, a lot of the stuff over there that's built, it can't be explained by science. People thousands of years ago were able to make precision structures. I'm always getting how?
I know.
That? It's so fascinating. And I would watch England and America, and say, "Oh, I'm not doing that." I'm just and listen to people talk about crazy stuff that's in the world and figure it out. And I'm really fascinated about that. Actually, some of the stuff they talk shows in some of my work too. So just kind of make it more history accurate and kind of give people a little more of a tease, because we don't know. We have no clues what they're saying pyramids or anything else that was built over millennia ago. That's the fun part. It's one of the that will be fun to explore and all be intriguing at the same time.
You get me. That's exactly what I do too.
I love it. So, I think we're deal, correct?
Yes, it did in April 9th, and it did with 300%, which is still amazing.
Yeah, it was great. Now, all people didn't cash in and get a copy. You be running another campaign logo or anything like that, or you want to be copies online so people can go and buy them?
Oh yeah. So actually, if you refresh that page, I don't know if it's showing it, but that is pre-order. So if anyone is on the website, order for the English version issue 1. So just pre-order. We got you. Unfortunately, we're gonna keep the bonus content, stickers, all that stuff for the backers. I sincerely just rank everything back. This is beyond my expectations. I tell you, I was prepared to motivate people and send out emails and all that stuff, and I had prepared all these things for the 3 weeks of the camp, and but to fund the days, and I was like, I only for fun. This is crazy.
Did you do type of preparation for Kickstarter? We online put me and tell you about it is on my you emails and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's the standard. If you want your Kickstarter to really be funded, you have to have the pro campaign started way early enough. They, like social media campaigns, I would advise you start at a minimum like 60 days, before, just kind of start priming people about what's coming, and and then collecting emails. With us, the good thing was with Jember, we were able to collect a lot of followers. When I say a lot, I'm talking about like what we had. I think we had 400 subscribers or something like that. Yeah, and so going to conventions and make sure you're like you definitely add people as you go with your whatever book you have out now, or if you don't have it, just with using your art or anything you could give away. People subscribe usually when they see content from you, so do that consistently, and then show up and be prepared to as well launch properly. Like when I say get up some emails that you can have, because emailing is important. Press and post, and then also some of the most impactful is also reaching out to bloggers or people in the media you think would be would be excited to show what you got to other people, right? Crafting something new, make sure you try to reach out to them. Like we started reaching out maybe 2 weeks before. You don't want to be sending out an email to bloggers a month or 2 months before and say, hey, campaign is 2 months now, because they wouldn't be that interested yet. They see it, and so just when you're closer to your campaign, start reaching out to people, get a good list, and don't forget that some of the most important people that will back your project, give the momentum you need, will be your friend, family. So just for you to get that initial, project, and don't be offended. They're like, Mario, or if they're not interested, don't like, that's bad, right?
I get that too, because I want people going to back want to, not because like, oh yeah, you're my pal, like that. Like I don't back you really want, you see what I'm doing, you're more interested in trying to get happy versus, and no, you're fucking great.
Exactly. Like those are not even real customers. Like that 1,000 history. I mean, that 1,000 exactly, right? You want those. The main thing your friends and family can do for you is be that initial momentum that inspire others to check it out, to check your page out, and be interested back. And what happens is with Kickstarter, we have good momentum the first day. Kickstarter themselves put you on their Projects We Love page, or they can they can make you more visible, right? Depending on how well they say statistics. If you can get about 20% to 30% funded on day one, like 48 hours or 24 hours to 48 hours, then you have a good chance of at the like fully funded. So go ahead.
With your Kickstarter, before you launch your campaign, they have a system where you could collect emails.
With Kickstarter themselves?
Yeah, so before you hit when your campaign was there, you can like have people like, hey, yo, my Kickstarter live in 2 weeks. Put in your email address and we'll know if I have it for you.
No, they do not.
How do
you
did you do like for, let's say like a landing page for that?
Yeah, so the way we collect these one is directly from the website. So if you go to our website, for example, you will have what is it called? Lead minutes. That's what they're
like a lead generator. Stuff like
that. I think it says, hey, if you want to learn about us, subscribe here, or the thing that says get free art for if you subscribe to us. And then obviously when people subscribe, right, you got to make sure you have those notifications engaged. You don't want just like people subscribe and just you're quiet until the campaign's launch. Another great way that I've seen other comic creators do, like get more subscribers, is give out like an 8x11 poster. An 8x11. So I saw this done by Newton Lavos. I forget his name or don't know how to pronounce it, but he's from Dream Fury Comics. He's doing amazing stuff. And what he does is he would do every week, every Friday, he would say, all right, I have an 8x poster, and I'm gonna do a draw and mail to the winner. What you gotta do is type and just tell me you want to be in the contest.
So that's actually very, very.
It's very, very deep, and also very, very because draws for people too. They'll look at art and they'll look at the thing and say, oh, this is cool. I want to be in this contest. And so I want to do that in the future as well for our audience. So that's one way. Another way is to go to conventions are the best way, because if you just have your digital device there saying, hey, if you subscribe, you get to learn more about us. I can give you free content. People are very open and very helpful there, and they come there to find you, to find artists like you. So that's another great place. And another place is your social media, right? Your Instagram, your Twitter, all these pages. Put your link up there and say, hey, subscribe today to get so-and-so to do this and that, and do this way ahead, right? Don't expect this like 4 times a day. It's not gonna be like that. It's long term.
That's
So,
pretty, I'm looking, from my, I'm looking pretty into, but I still have a lot more work needs to be done before stuff that not me, but other creators who are looking to do Kickstarter, they can realize help their list. I know it's very important to have some type of following before you launch Kickstarter. That's very important that people do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were thinking that you can make a Kickstarter without that, then you're dreaming and you don't have a plan. You have a plan. And really, that's how you do it. And, you got to be patient with that too. You can't just get a subscriber in like 1 month. So just give some time, put your subscribers up, and, another way, actually, one more that I've heard works really well is there are these things that people do called like contests with. This one creator, he did a contest for 2 weeks, and what he did was he put together an entire prize, like saying, all right, so say your comic book has to do with African superheroes. Right? So he put a Black Panther art, Black Panther DVD, Black Panther. Like he actually spent good money on that. He would put a package together and say, all right, there's going to be one winner for this. If you join my campaign if you join my subscription list, and in 2 weeks I'll announce this. I think he got like 2,000 or something subscribers just by like putting up this the context, right? And obviously he knew he's not gonna convert all the 2,000, right? If you look at the industry rate for comics, I think the average or subscribe rate or a good subscription rate or people who engage with you open rate is like 20%.
Yeah, so that's like about 200 people out of
exactly
1,000,
right?
Still pretty good.
That's really good. And so if you have that kind of going in, like that's the only like method that I've seen that people be able to get like a huge amount of subscribers in a short amount of time.
Don't be surprised if you see a contest going live today from me. I'm just saying.
I'm telling
you, bro.
Like people do these, and they're like if it's in the novel authors community. Novel, like the authors actually partner up to do these, and they get so much benefit out of it. What I mean is, like people, like let's say like 10 to 15 authors, they get together, they pitch money, right? Everybody pitches in money to buy these like prizes, right? And then there's somebody who will do the promoting of that contest and everything, and like Facebook ads, all these things. And then at the end, every single author gets those subscriptions.
That's actually probably found out a lot of people.
Yeah,
right. Because I'm one of those people really that I'm not on social media, but I wasn't a fan of throwing my face on social media because I'm not about trying to work social media to kind of get anything like that. But I heard a quote, in order to be comfortable, you have to be a little comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
right.
So far, it's turned out great for me. This has been a fun thing that I'm doing for people like you. We can go on and talk and connect you guys. I never really backed the Kickstarter until like maybe a month ago, and so I started scanning through Kickstarter, finding other good projects. And actually, your Kickstarter is probably one that I backed. Okay, a $30 tier, or maybe I don't know. I want to get your gym. You want to do along with HAWI, she won, but I forgot to win back. So
I'm glad you back. Thank you so much.
If you're on my show, I want to be able to not be great.
I got you.
I'll be say my reason for backing it. You actually go back it too because it seemed like a pretty time to go. So I just want to be able to do that for people. Kind of get the word out, even if you're 80% of your amount that you're trying to get, it's you go and help those people anyway. Because it puts out in the good karma. It gives you more credibility. Because I know a lot of most successful out there, they back a lot of projects, and it's not it's that I got this project, I get that project. It's literally a genuine life. It's like it seems like I want to back this project and support the artist, and it's not or less I'm doing something for you. So eventually you have to do something for me. I hate mode thinking. How people like that before that you like because you're not because I'm not calling people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And those people who have been in a better position, they know what they went through to get where they are. And if they didn't have those, if they didn't have people up there going back and saying, wow, what you're doing is dope, I want to back it. And not because, again, like they can't possibly want anything from you or like there's anything they can get like that important back to you. Like they've achieved a certain level of success, of course more, but they just genuinely want to help as well. And we need more of that. Like we need so much more people to be able to do that, bring this, because there's so many that need to come up.
And if a lot of the indie comics, they're growing now. A lot of the indies that were mainstream are starting to fall off. And I think the reason that is that if you pull out something like Success, and your work, it's a gatekeeper for that. They don't want fans to say, oh, I don't think this is a good idea. We're going to publish it. It makes it to our creative community, we can use it to pitch an idea to an audience. And it's either they like it or they don't. But there's no gatekeeper saying, well, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if this is going to be a great idea. Get that letter. Like when I was trying to get my books published by a publisher the traditional way, and the email inform you, or I've at least 100 times in which a publisher and agent who were just like, our decision is based on how objective. I'm like, it's like they're using one as template. Not even pass it around in the connection letter. And it kind of, I know that hinders a lot of people when it comes to, them trying to push your work. Because a lot of novelists online on Twitter who are just bummed out because, their agent rejects them or the publisher doesn't want to publish them. There's a lot of gates you have to go to do that with Kickstarter. You can get a nice audience on it, you can shit in this, and you can do whatever you want. And I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So we're time. I really came on to the show. I just have a question for you. Go for it. Pleasure of ETAN Comics.
So the future is our hope is to build one character at a time, as I told you, build a shared universe. And another wish is to go into different mediums like animation and live action or anything else that can expand our stories to more and more audiences. That's another amazing thing we would like to do. And last but not least is we definitely want to also be a platform that other African creators or other creators in general can use to put out quality content, right? We want to, as we just talked about, we want to reach back, pull people up. That's the future. That's the future.
That. Maybe we could do a whole collaboration with our characters and do like an Avengers Endgame kind of deal going on or something like that.
It'll be my pleasure, man. My pleasure, yeah.
But you know what, Besserat, thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. If you ever do another Kickstarter for HAWI or Jimber, let me know because I would really like to have you on the show again.
Same here. Let me know, please. And I can't wait to see your Kickstarter. I think you're going to do great. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help. And thank you so much again.
Once again, thank you for recommending Comics Wellsprings for printing.
Yeah.
I'm going to use them for my Kickstarter because I got a nice quote from them, like $7 and some change to print like a $70 book. So that ain't bad. That ain't bad at all compared to other people who wanted like $9, $10 for one copy. So
good.
Thank you for that. So
yeah, of course.
I will see you on Twitter. If you have any questions for me, let me know. I will have this up hopefully, Wednesday. All right. So if you want to use it to give it out to your backers, just go straight ahead. I'll give you the link and you can blast it out and you will see it on YouTube Wednesday morning.
Perfect, man.
Thanks
a lot. Seriously,
fun talking to you,
for this opportunity. You too, man.
You have a happy Easter.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
Hey guys, how you doing? So I just went to the comic book store and got some cool stuff that I wanted to share with you guys, all right? So first off, got a lot of cool comic books here. We know Avengers Endgame is right around the corner, so I picked up a few Infinity War comics. Check that out. Got another one here, Avengers. Another one, and I like this cover because that's actually Nebula holding the Infinity Gauntlet. So, might be a little hint to what might happen in Endgame. But hey, that's cool. And I also got this more latest edition of Infinity Wars. But the one thing that I'm most excited for is this little cute Thanos holding a death balloon mini hero. Like, look at that. That's cool, alright? So here's the deal, you guys. I am giving all of this stuff away for free. All you gotta do is go to my website, tobeheroic.com, or go to my profile. My link is there. Fill out the form. Make sure you guys got a valid email address and submit to enter. It's it. Simple. Easy. Just go to my website, fill out the form, and you can win this whole prize pack, all right? You got until Friday, April 26th, all right? Around the time Avengers Endgame is out. So go right now, go to my website, fill out the form, and you can win. All right, guys, see you later.